If you're an intelligent investor that looks towards the future, there's a possibility that you could become a billionaire if you help bring capitalism to surveillance footage. Surveillance footage is a completely untapped asset class, and there's a huge potential for money to be made. The reason it's untapped is because the contemporary mindset is to hoard the information and keep surveillance centralized. I think that it could be a huge industry. It's not, though, because people are not involved with it, and there's no way for them to get involved. If there was a way for them to get involved with it, then they would. People would use surveillance footage for a lot of different reasons. Maybe they're a busybody, they're protective of their environment, or they want to use it for entertainment purposes. Have you ever gone online to see like a live feed of some camera somewhere to maybe check the weather, or I don't know, watch a hurricane unfold, or you know, that kind of stuff? I have, and it's pretty fun, and I would do it a lot more if there were more options, and I'm pretty sure the same goes for a lot of other people. Just think of how often you use Google Street View to look around. Imagine if you didn't have to look at a picture that was taken 6 months ago. You could actually see live footage of that location. You know, you could check the traffic in real time, or you could go off of the road. You could go into buildings, see people walking around. You know, what if you see someone commit a crime? Like, oh my gosh, that guy just snatched the lady's purse, and maybe you'd be able to track him down, follow him by jumping from camera to camera. I mean, you could help the cops, and you could do it from 1,000 miles away. There's a lot of people out there who would find it enjoyable to monitor certain areas, such as the border. There's people like that. I mean, you know, these are things that people would definitely pay money for. Like these are services people would pay money for, or you know, run ads. You know, I don't know. You know, people are gonna start realizing that this is a possibility sooner or later. You know, I'm not gonna be the only person with this idea, and especially with blockchain technology. This sort of thing would be easier to do. The average landowner would be able to rent out their camera feed. You know, it can be turned into a business. Eventually, something like this will most likely become a reality. And imagine what it will be like in the distant future. Imagine this kind of infrastructure that's so widely adopted that maybe you're instantly notified of an event happening right then, and you're able to watch it happening as it unfolds, and you don't need to, you know, turn on the news the next day and listen to someone report on it, because you and 10,000 other people watched it happen. There are a few trends that I'm noticing today. First of all, people are increasingly worried about videos being doctored as our technology gets more advanced. And also, people, I've noticed, in some circumstances have used live feeds to generate some pretty good evidence, or to notify people quickly of an event happening. You know, one could argue that live feeds can be doctored as well. I've seen some examples of that, but imagine if everyone was able to access that information at will. you know, then it wouldn't matter if a live feed or a video was doctored, because all the people paying attention, they would be detectives, essentially. They would be able to get all of the information that they needed in real time. You know, just a random citizen can do a detective's job, you know, before the detective even gets the information, and they would do it for free, because that's how people behave. One thing I've been hearing about is that you know, alphabet agencies like the NSA, they have all this surveillance capabilities, intel gathering, but they have too much. It's like they don't know what to do with it. They can't, you know, either they choose not to follow through with certain information, or they just have too much. I think that's probably likely in a lot of cases. And, you know, they use artificial intelligence, and that is also, I would think, a necessary requirement, even if you involved the populace. But if you got more people involved, you'd be able to solve your intel analysis inefficiencies, and, you know, there's still a potential for the government, these agencies, to make a lot of money off of that information. I mean, you know, that's a really bad business practice, to just hoard a bunch of information. I mean, you know, how does Facebook make all their money? It's, you know, why can't information be sold to people, you know, to consume at will? Another thing that I want to mention is that the more people you involve and the bigger of an industry it gets, there will be more and more cameras. Just in general, there will just be more cameras around, more than there would be normally. So, you know, for example, that back alleyway behind 7-Eleven, where Bubba usually goes to sell his meth, well, you know, that back alleyway would become, at a certain point, prime real estate for, you know, a live camera feed rental space, and people would be monitoring it for fun, you know, for entertainment. And you know, Bubba's going to have to find a different alleyway, and increasingly he's going to have a harder time finding a back alleyway somewhere, and he's going to lose customers, because people are going to realize that, you know, it's harder and harder to find the privacy required to commit crimes. And then a lot of people would argue that, well, you know, a lot of criminals, they don't care if there's a camera feed or if there's a cop right over there. They're going to commit the crime anyway. You know, that is true. But, like, for example, if Tyrone is thinking about kicking down that door, you know, he might think twice if he imagines there's a possibility that his mom is watching. You know, that's what's so great about a small town, is because everyone knows each other, everyone knows what's going on, and that's why it's so safe. It's not like that in a big city. But imagine a scenario in which there's cameras everywhere, and you know, people are usually worried about you know, the idea of cameras everywhere. But, you know, imagine if the average person had the ability to access that information at will. If it was decentralized, then maybe you'd turn that big city into a small town, if you know what I mean. In college, I learned about all these weird societal, psychological issues that they say were caused by dense population. And, you know, obviously it's not really the dense population itself. It's the mindset that is a result of the dense population. Something happens in society when there's a dense population. And, it's about the mindset, and a small town doesn't have that kind of a mindset. One of the first things that turns people off to this idea is that they don't want their privacy to be threatened. People want privacy. People want to protect their privacy. You don't have anything to hide, do you? Well, the actual reason that people want to have privacy is because good people use privacy as a tool to protect their own stuff and to protect their liberties. But privacy is also used as a tool by criminals to take those things. And so it's not really the privacy in and of itself that people want. It's their liberty. It's their sovereignty. And if privacy is taken away across the board, then those people who threaten taking your liberties, then those people don't have the privacy for themselves to do that anymore. And speaking of criminals, politicians, they play a character. They make promises, and then behind closed doors, they act completely different. And if we want to be able to choose our leaders based upon merit and not lies, then their lives need to be scrutinized very closely. And we don't have that yet. They have, like criminals, they have privacy. They have that tool to do a crime, and privacy is a requirement for crime. Take away privacy and crime becomes very difficult. Imagining the distant future with this kind of infrastructure in place, obviously societal norms would diverge from how they are right now in ways which would be very alien to us. And that is fine with me as long as, good things can come from it. I want to stand in the light and live a life of truth and honesty. And a lot of people don't want to do that. There's a lot of people out there who honestly just need the status quo to tell them what to do, or the law, or their mom. This would give those people a push in the right direction. It would change society, hopefully for the better. You don't need to use government. You don't need to have government write things down on a piece of paper and enforce laws. That's not the only way to improve society. Cultural movements can happen on their own, organically. And I would argue that that's the only time that they happen, is organically. And a lot of people today, they blame capitalism for, everything, which is completely ridiculous. And this is a hypothetical situation in which capitalism could actually improve society. I want this to become a reality, and I want to get involved myself in certain ways. And not only because I need to pay the bills. Everyone needs to pay the bills. But mostly I want it to happen because I keep trying to think of ways in which I could help humanity in some small way. And I think this might be one of those ways. That's why I'm making this video. I just want it to happen. I don't care. Fundamentally, I don't care about making money. Of course, everyone has to pay their bills. If anyone out there thinks it's a good idea, then I can help out. a philosophy writer by trade, and I usually am tackling issues like this, like societal issues based on the fundamental psychology. And, you know, this is just one way of many different ways that the average person can make money while improving society. You know, I'm kind of an entrepreneur, and I'm always thinking of ways to make money, but mostly I'm motivated, and I think like most people, I'm motivated by greater goals than just, you know, ooh, you know, money. Ooh, it's not really about money. It's about securing your own place in the future. It's about thriving in this world. And I'll continue making videos like this, putting out ideas for business ideas, jobs that people could do, and ways that people can help society. Because it's something I study every day. And there are certain mysteries about this this world which you know, people don't understand yet, and I want to do what I can to, you know, influence things on my very limited soapbox here. So thanks for watching.